Alrighty. Uh, I know that I said in the last stream after we finished some behavior tree or state tree. I keep calling them behavior trees. They're specifically not behavior trees. After some state tree stuff, then we're going to go back to level design. But I also remember that it's been a while since I let you guys decide what to do. And with you guys, I mean the people that are in the Discord. So I ran a poll in the Discord, and that ended up being either doing the platforming level design, which sooner or later we'll need to do anyway, right? Animation for the new enemy that I modeled off stream, starting the modeling process for the next weapon in the game. Since we're working on the next dungeon, the next weapon is gonna need to be introduced at some point. While I still haven't really like nailed down the current second weapon that I have, so maybe that's a thing to look into as well. And then I had an option for coding more magic abilities. And as you can see, I have like a lot of magic abilities or just abilities in general that I still want to make. And this list is probably going to get longer, more so than shorter as we go along. But it's good to make a little bit of a dent in it. And that ended up winning by quite a lot. So that's what we're going to be doing here right now. Is we will there we go. I can hear myself, I think, again. We'll just try to make at least some of these. So I'll zoom in a little bit so that you can actually read what we're going to do. So these are the player abilities in my to-do list right now. Fixing up the sword's special attack. Let's switch this to like a green core. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do that yet. The fix that I need to do is it needs to do something interesting with the camera, I think. Because as it stands right now, I think what it does is it tries to get the camera view from the character that you're attacking, but I removed those. So that no longer works. um, and if I just keep the camera as the player character's camera, it's going to be jumping quite a lot and going to be a little bit jarring maybe. Then again, it was a bit jarring when I jump between enemies before anyway. So that might be fine. I don't know what we're going to do there. So we might not look at that today. Then we've got all the things like a couple of fireballs that have homing properties, lifesteal ability. I was thinking maybe the lifesteal ability can be good for the scythe, because the scythe is what you get from the Grim Reaper type boss fight. So it kind of makes sense that you do like a lifesteal there. The lifesteal would effectively just be a bunch of piercing damage that bypasses the defense stat of the enemy, and then just adds like 50% of that back to you. A shield ability. This should not be too powerful because one of the weapons that is unlockable is a shield, and this needs to be less powerful than that. So what I'm thinking is that it is a shield that will like halve the damage that you take and prevent knockback. That's still quite powerful, maybe. And only last a short amount of time. Or maybe it's a shield that will absorb a certain amount of damage before dissipating, or not entirely sure yet how this is gonna work, I'm not gonna lie. Then a simple regen. We have a healing spell so far, but we can make a regen version of that as well, which heals less initially, but then over the next like 20 seconds heals you up a little bit more. A homing attack, like the shaman enemy, if anybody knows that one already has, just for the player. And then we should also keep doing that. We should also update the mind spray, because what it really should do is it should just spawn a couple of mines in a circle around you instead of spraying them out with like physics and stuff like it is now. It's a little bit weird. So that's probably what it should do. And then we have an attack for chain lightning. So a attack where, like, if we are here and it just picks our target enemy, which can be the thing that we're locked onto or the thing that's just like closer to us or whatever. It shoots a. Do we have like blue? We do. Do we have like cyan? Maybe. No. Maybe we do. It shoots like a lightning bolt at whatever enemy we are targeting. And then what that does is it does a area check, and every enemy within that area that it finds, it shoots, like, let's say that we have like one here and one here and one here. This area check should be relatively small, by the way, to prevent this from being too overpowered, because what it will do is everything that it finds within this area, it shoots another one of these lightning things too. And then what they all do is they all do an area check again, right? Which maybe that's going to be like a smaller for each tier down the line, or it just does like one area check and it doesn't like repeat. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do there yet. Also because I don't really know how I would set this up to work like recursively like that, now that I think about it, because we would initially, what we would do is we would just do on like the start of the ability, we just spawn in that particle system and we deal some damage. Then we do a sphere overlap, get all the enemies within that, and I guess we would need a list to keep track of every enemy that we have seen so far, that we like registered, so that we don't do anything double. And then I guess what we do, I guess for all of these we do the same thing then, right? But we should just get started on making it and we'll see how that's going. So yeah, I think the chain lightning is the most interesting to start working on. So I think that's going to be the thing that we do first. And then we'll figure it out later. What we do after that. So let's go into my blueprints, abilities. Starting to be a good list of abilities here. I probably should categorize that at some point. Let's make a gameplay ability. That's not how that works. Well, actually it is, because it's going to be a cost gameplay ability. Gameplay ability, let's call this chain lightning, if I can spell. So we do a handful of things, right? First and foremost, on activate, we commit ability. I actually does commit ability. I don't think commit ability automatically ends the ability, does it? Never actually checked that. And assume that it doesn't. I might have a couple of abilities that never end if I haven't implemented it. I should look into that. I think it automatically ends, but I suppose this can't hurt. Then we get avatar actor. We cast to BP third person character, just so that we have an easy to use reference to that. I don't know if we're going to need to use it more often, but we might as well provide it to a variable. And then we get closest enemy. It's just our locked onto enemy, and we check if that is valid. We actually want to check if that is valid before we commit ability. Now think about it. Because if we don't have a if we don't have a valid target, we don't want to be wasting the MP this ability might take. So if it's not valid, we also end ability. Yeah, okay. And from there, now we actually get to the fun stuff. Because we spawn a Niagara system at location. And the system that was spawned, at least for now, we might make a specific one for this a little later down the line, but it's the same one that the force field has. Which is not this one, that one. And then the location will just be our character's location. Now, the question becomes, I think this will auto delete itself after a certain amount of time. We can, there we go. Maybe 1,000 is a bit too much. 100, there we go. It's definitely too small. Doesn't really matter. It's just for previewing. Yeah, so let's just make this. I don't know how we're going to deal with this actually. Well, I'm just thinking, because we probably already want this to be like nested in another function so we can reuse it, because there's already like spawning a system, and the location, like the source location of that system, is going to need to be different for like the second iteration through, right? But we'll look into that in a moment. Set an aircraft variable. What is it called? It's called end location. Can I just copy this plain name? And the end location will be our closest enemy. And then get the active location from that as well. So what we'll probably end up doing is making the source actor and the target actor into parameters. So I cut it off here. And then like every target actor is going to run this function again. But I also need to make sure that it doesn't create an infinite loop. Let's call this like found enemies and make this a enemy type array. And then we add the enemy that we found to that. Accepts that this is... there's no reason that this couldn't just be a normal actor array, I suppose. Just in case I want to at any point be able to do this with something that's not an enemy, right? Because we're not accessing anything that is, I'm not going to do that. We're not accessing anything that is technically like enemy class exclusive. So I might as well just make an actor. But before we do any of this, we want to check if it contains that actor already. So contains item. And if it doesn't contain the item, that's when we'll do this. Okay, so yeah. So if we now collapse this to a function, Well, not quite yet, because now we need to do sphere overlap actors. I will filter this on the enemy class for the time being, just so that it only gets me an array with enemies in it, so that I'm not like iterating over stuff that doesn't actually matter. Let's say that the radius is set to like 500. It might be better if it's a little higher, but we'll need to figure that out. And then that's gonna be from the target location, right? So yeah, now we select all this. I think yeah, up to that point, and we just say, hey, collapse to function. And then we need to redirect a couple of these things. Strike enemy. Or something like that. Anyway. Yeah, so self 3 is going to be source. Actor. And then everything else, I believe, shares that, which will be the target actor. And these middle two can just disappear. So, for all these out actors, we can actually put the check in there instead. But it doesn't matter because this gets aborted anyway. It saves a function call, I suppose, but it's not that big a deal. So yeah, we're going to just for each loop over these, and for each one of these, we're just going to call strike enemy again. But this time, what used to be the target is going to be the new source. And the new target is going to be everything in that. And that's going to recursively keep calling itself, in theory. These two no longer have any reason to exist. And I think that's kind of it. So then we just delay. These systems might persist after the ability, but we'll figure it out. Oh, we also need to damage things. Let's add in the damaging as well. So the target actor can just apply damage. Hello, there we go. Pretty big function. The damage dealer will always be this, I guess, right? Base damage will be 10, knockback, I don't know, 100. Piercing damage. Let's also make it do a little bit of piercing damage, why not? And then we'll have like lightning type damage. Sure. All right, okay. With that, we can go into the items, which I should add back into my favorites, so I can access it easily. And there we have the item assets, the spells. And I guess let's just like copy over thunder spell. Or duplicate it. Call it chain lightning. And it doesn't have a cost yet. I'll set that up in a moment. Zappy Zap Mofos. Chain lightning, sparking up some good ideas. Yeah, that's funny thing is I actually got the idea a while ago. Didn't actually ever make it. And then there was I don't remember what boss it was, but I think it was a boss in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that I played. like way too much of over the past couple of weeks. A boss that used it against me, ability like this. I was like, oh yeah, that's the thing that I wanted to do. So I added it back into my to-do list, and I actually have a to-do list, so that's good. So yeah, we now have that as an item, which means that it is executable in theory, which it's probably going to break. So let's give it a shot. Let's spawn in a good amount of enemies just to see. This is going to be a disaster. I also need to go to a save point to equip it. I'm guessing this is Zappy Zap Mofos. There we go. So let's... Oh, that actually worked. Kinda. I don't think it fully works, but that worked better than I thought it would. Also, let's move that save point over to where I start, because it's going to be really annoying to deal with it otherwise. Let's try it out with... No, hold on. It definitely didn't hit everything, right? That didn't seem like it hit everything. So from source actor to target actor. Yeah, no, that adds up. Let's add in a print string to print the name of the target actor when we do that as well. And then, as I expected, the lightning particles stick around, but we can fix that in a moment. That's like not the biggest deal. It's probably nice to like build in a bit of a delay there as well, I imagine. So maybe we make that into an event instead, so that we can just more easily build in delays. Seems like that will be satisfying to do. Maybe these are not the best enemies to test this out with, I realize now. But actually, I think that is all of them in this case, right? Because it goes from me to the first, to the second, to the third, to the fourth. Yeah, maybe the range just isn't that big. Wait, it only goes to one of them each time. Oh, it does it? No, there's definitely things that connect to two of them, I think. It's starting to be hard to... Everybody follow me! Everybody follow me away from that web, please. Okay. Is there any of these that seem like it might be... Holy shit! Connected to two of them, because I think that might not be... Well, this seems like it might have connected to two of them. I guess the issue is that if they're all this close together, most of them get hit by the first one. But if most of them get hit by the first one, no, what actually ends up happening is they only all hit one. Right? That's what ends up happening. I think. Wait, I didn't even pay attention to the print strings that I put in there. Hold on. Just added a bunch of these, yeah. Yeah, that seems like it hit multiple things from one source. Well, at least it's hitting everything. That's, in the end, that's the most important thing, right? Is the fact that it's hitting everything, which it clearly is doing. So, like, how it spiders out, I think doesn't matter that much because you're not going to see these things stick around for too long anyway. Because what they're going to do is we're going to make a um, how are we going to deal with this? That's a good question. I'm going to make a copy that is a bunch shorter, if you will allow me to. Hello? There we go. Let's call this chain lightning. And we'll change this from looping infinitely to only looping once. So that way it will destroy itself. I think that's all that there's to it. Like with this, it should now destroy itself at the end. Maybe, hopefully. Yeah, so maybe it needs a little bit more going for it than that. But that shouldn't be that big a deal because we can animate the beam width. With a curve. And we can do something like this. But I do think that it would be better if this lasted a little longer. Why is it already gone at like 50% though? What? Oh, it's because the particles only live for this long. Yeah, that's good enough. Maybe dynamically like set the amount of particles that it actually uses. And maybe don't use the spawn. Oh, it already uses spawn burst instantaneous. How interesting. This is a very weird setup, man. I don't know what's going on. But sure. So let's also do a little bit of math here. And we have this user end location, which we want to stick around with, but we also want to like lerp from the start position to the end location. So can we just copy this? Please tell me that we can just copy this. We cannot. Okay. Position to vector. Simulation position. Now we can. Hopefully. And then the alpha will be the float direction alpha, which by default will be 0. And we can animate that from 0 to 1, which actually I guess we don't even need to do through any sort of other code, do we? Because we can just, yeah, we can do that like this. So set param, I think, yeah. Can you not set user parameters? I guess that makes sense. It's a little bit annoying though. But I guess this doesn't need to be a user parameter then. Because we can just make it here. Like on emitter spawn, we can make we could just make a float. We can call this direction alpha. And now we should have the, no, we don't. I thought we would. Does it need to be an emitter update? Might be need to be an emitter update for that to work. How does this work again? It's been a while. That should be doable, right? What the fuck? Okay. Just minding my own business, doing some particle stuff, and then Unreal's like, nope. Don't want to do that. Sure. Why the fuck not? Let's pick up where we left off, shall we? Because I did save just before that. So maybe now that it's saved, it will recognize the thing. Set specific parameters. It's not in there. It's the thing. I must be missing something. Let's go to Google real quick. Also, I don't need this page to be open. It's only siphoning away bandwidth. Unreal sets param on update. I don't fucking know. Niagara. Maybe add Niagara. Yeah, people are trying to like do it outside of the emitter, which I could do. But I just want to do it within the emitter if possible. Pretty please. I mean, it makes sense that this is the search query that comes up most. But you cannot tell me that it's not possible to make your own parameter and then set it, right? Because that would in fact be fucking dumb. That's okay, so I can do that one. Why can I not access the other one? Is it because I'm in? Oh, it's probably because I'm a particle update, right? Yeah. So it only has access to the particle things. Well, then I guess what I need to do is I need to do emitter update. And that should then, without too much problems, yeah. Let me set this and blurb it. Well, actually, yeah, no, that's what I should do. Go to curve, and then let's see, this should go from 0 to 1 fairly quickly. But that doesn't seem to do anything. Well, I guess I'm not using the direction alpha, actually. Yeah, I'm not using the proper one, so dir alpha, current value. I guess this needs to happen before that. Otherwise, I'm going to work. Yeah, no, that's still not working. How's the progress? Going well, aside from all the particle bullshit, which I really shouldn't get stuck on, but here we are. So yeah, it's looping between 0 and end location based on the emitter's direction alpha. If alpha starts at 0, it's the loop that's not working. Because if I set this to 0.3, okay, that's good to know, at least, I guess. So then I guess what we do instead, I have so many options here. I have so many ideas. Well, one of them's gotta work. Instead of looping this, we'll get rid of direction alpha. Oh, fuck, no, don't do that. That's a horrible idea. So on emitter spawn, we'll make a parameter. And this time instead it's going to be a vector. And this will be the actual end location. And we'll set that initially to 0, 0, 0. Yeah, 0, 0, 0, I think. Now the simulation position. Right, so that's an initial value. And then in here, what we're going to be setting, we will be setting the actual the fuck are you on about? Actual end location is what we'll be setting. So we will not, in fact, be doing this. So the target logic already is in place. That's not a problem. What I want is now I think about it, maybe this is easier to drive from Blueprint. What I want is for it to like loop its like its target position between its origin point and its actual like endpoint. But I'm going to be needing to update the endpoint anyway in Blueprint, I think. So maybe it's easier to just do that instead. Because the endpoint code already works. I would just like this thing itself to deal with the like interpolating. So I just want to loop between those two vectors, right? So I want to loop between the, let's call it 0, 0, 0 for now, and the target end location. And then I can just make this alpha the curve. I mean, I am setting up the variables on spawn. That's not the issue. The like these things, the direction, well, the direction alpha I'm not actually using anymore. Like the distance and the end location and the core, these I'm all setting from Blueprint when they spawn. It's just that I want this system itself to then create like a looping effect going from its origin position to its target position within within the VFX preferably, so that I don't have to do that necessarily in Blueprint if I don't want to. Which I kind of don't want to. It's the thing, because that's going to be a pain to deal with. Most likely, that's the wrong way around. Just to be at 1, and it can be like fairly quickly, right? It's just like, why do you not compile? What? System updates. Direction alpha was read before being set, but I'm not using it anymore. Am I? Yeah, I'm not using it anymore, so I don't know what the hell you're on about. I even deleted it. Where does it think I'm using it? What the fuck? Oh, yeah, no, okay, that makes sense. The beam end still uses that. So what the beam end should use instead is the actual... why would I be using C++ for this? That's like, I don't know that that's necessarily the most the best use case for that. Why can I not use the parameter? I guess we read from emitter parameter. But then it... Oh, it might be because I disabled those. Hold on. Actual end location. There we go. Yeah, okay. Now it should be able to compile, and it still probably won't do shit. Yeah, I don't know, man. Probably good to just do this through the blueprint implementation. Because for some reason this is not working. Even though it definitely should. Let's just to be sure see what it looks like in-game. Because it might just be a preview related issue, which I doubt it is, but what? How does that happen? I'm setting end location here. That should override whatever the default value is. Either way, it doesn't work. So what we'll do instead is we'll do it on like a tech-based system or something, I guess. Well, I guess that actually does kind of make sense, doesn't it? Because it's not interpolating properly. So if I just use this instead. We'll get rid of these. We'll just deal with it through here. No, through there. So then the question becomes, how do we deal with it, right? We can make objects, right? Direct base class for all we objects. So we can say that this is the source vector. But does it help me? Because I can't get values from that. So if I'm going to do that, it definitely needs to be... Yeah, so I can't do that. Never mind. That actually doesn't make sense. So then how am I going to drive multiple of these through the same ability? Oh, no, that's not what I want to do. No, I want to just delete this one. But aside from just like making a struct that has like source, target, and the particle effect, and then keeping like an array of that, and updating those every tick. Does this thing even have a tick? Oh, it doesn't. Fantastic. So I guess I did at some point make a tick, right? ability task on tick. Yes, I have one of those. So that's the thing that I can do. For now, I think I don't want to really like get bogged down with all of it, you know? I think what I should just be doing is maybe increasing this radius from 500 to like 1,000 real quick. Just to make sure that I'm like actually obliterating everything inside. Then not forgetting to actually equip the thing. And I did hit literally everything on screen. So it's a little bit of a screen wipe. And also, it really does not feel the way I would imagine that these would connect up to each other is the issue. I was imagining something that spiderwebs a little bit more. But I guess if it's only hitting one thing at everything... Oh, what the fuck? I guess if it's only hitting everything once... that kind of makes sense, right? But I don't want to hit things more than once, because that will create an infinite loop. The thing that's weirding me out... Create a second emitter in the same... I don't think that really solves what I'm trying to do, though. Because fundamentally, what's going wrong is it's hitting everything, but it's not hitting everything in the way that I would have imagined. Make it affect jump between the point of the first emitter and the targets around. Yeah, but that's already what it does, I think, right? Because it already connects from the target to the end. The issue that I'm running into right now is the fact that it seems to, on everything, like every one of these loops, it seems to only be doing this to one enemy. But I guess we can check that by adding a print string of the length of this overlap. Well, no, that actually doesn't work. Yeah, so there should be a delay in between these, but I can't add in a delay. Well, I guess I can do this as a timer, right? Set timer by event. Ooh, but that's also not gonna be easy to do because an event that... okay. Is there any reason that this couldn't be? Well, yeah, there is. No, there isn't. Yeah, there is. Because is there any reason that this couldn't be an event instead of a function? I think that this might work as an event, which means that I can just use a delay node. I don't know how we'll deal with having that event called while it's already running though, but maybe we can just convert function into event. Yeah, it doesn't like that for some reason. Oh, there we go. It's a bit of a mess. But now that we have that, we can add in a delay here. Or I'll just have the ability technically going on for like 10 seconds. So that every like quarter second, it does the next like step through, so that I can more easily see what's going on, and also probably like look better to have it go that way. At least to a certain extent. Well, but that's the thing. Everything happens within one tick, right? So, printing all the like array elements will just. I know that everything is getting hit. That's not the issue. My issue is that they're not getting hit in the way that I would expect them to be getting hit. What I would expect is if I am here and my initial target is here, and there's like a bunch of enemies around, what I would expect to happen is for me to hit this dude, and this dude to hit everything around it, which would create this like spider webbing of lightning strikes. What actually seems to be happening is this dude hits one of these, which then hits one of these, which then hits one of these, which then hits one of these, which still hits everything. So it's effectively fine, but it's not like exactly behaving the way that I would expect it to. So that's why I need to like do something that's not just printing out everything that got hit, because I'm not trying to see everything that got hit. I'm trying to see like when they get hit. As you can see, okay, that's a bad example because there was nothing else close by. I could have just spawned in some more stuff instead of restarting. I don't know why I didn't. So yeah, let's spawn in like a shit ton of stuff. Oh no, but that did do like a lot at once. So it does like straight up do what I wanted to do. It just doesn't look like it. Which I don't know if that's good or bad. I think that's mostly good. The way that some of these things just like fall through the floor is a bit weird. But, yeah, okay, so I think that's mostly pretty good. I also should check for every enemy if they're invincible or not. So we can do that in here. Also, I'm already printing everything that gets hit. So, yeah. No, it's not supposed to infinitely chain. Definitely not. Again, it apparently it works the way that I imagine it. It just doesn't look like it very much. Which is okay, as long as it works the way that I want it to. And I think having this like delay in there does make it feel more like it works the way I want it to work. So yeah, I think it's fine now. But we do need to get the ability system component of this dude, and then hashtag stat is invincible. Not cool. And then we make this a not bool as well. Change this to true instead, because we're going to be checking two negatives. Okay. Now it shouldn't attack anything that's invincible as well, because it was attacking some things that were like below ground or invisible and that kind of stuff, and we don't want that to happen. So if I spawn in like a bunch of these little fuckers, doesn't Niagara have a delay function between emissions? I don't think it does. But also, those need to all be individual emitters. So I can't just make it one giant system. They actually do need to spawn in one for every single action, sadly, which is not great from like a garbage collection standpoint. But I also don't think I can fairly easily like chain an indeterminate amount of lightning with just one effect spawn. So yeah, now it doesn't attack things that are below ground, which is good. I think what might also help is limiting the amount that any single step can attack. I think maybe what we should do to make this really feel like it's a chain lightning going through them all is in this strike enemy thing in the for each loop we check if the array index is less than a certain amount. So let's say less than 4. So that's 0, 1, 2, and 3. So that's 4 like forks per enemy. Seems pretty good. Might even be a bit much with the amount of enemies that are actually on screen most of the time. Spawn in a bunch of them. So that will make it like spread out a little bit more, right? We'll need to do this the other way around, probably. Different ID is we need to move. So strike enemy will just assume that whatever check we did already has been done. And then reason I was suggesting a second emitter so that you could assign the rest of the targets to a second emitter. So it would go from 1 lightning into 4 smaller ones, for example. Yeah, but that's still finite. As in, that gets me like 2 tiers down, but what if there's a third? So I would have to, like, there's no way to like loop that through and through and through and through until it's done within one system. Like I can make a system that has a bunch of these well, I guess what I could do is I could like use location events to spawn in this emitter in a bunch of places, but then sending through the information for the endpoints for all of them is going to be a nightmare. An if statement for 3 emitters and 4, etc. Yeah, so that still ends up with the same issue. That's still like hard coded the amount of things that you're going to need. Like that doesn't actually scale. Let's hook that up, and I think this now. Oh, that's actually everything that I needed. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this moves over here instead. And then we make this into a function again. So target actor is that, source actor is that. Yeah, that's good. And we do that because I want to make a local variable. And I don't know how it's gonna like deal with that in here. So you know, I'm kind of fine with the way that this works, I guess. Well, let me think for a moment. So what does this pin input? Hold on. Let's revert. So source actor. Okay, so the issue is was that. Just needed to make sure that I had all those pins properly like hooked up. So collapse the function again. Strike new. And here what we can do is we can check a local variable, amount struck. Even worse, they spawn a different Niagara effect that takes the endpoint of the target one and then spawns the rest of the lightning. Then spawns more or less of the VFX depending on the amount. I mean, that is effectively what I'm doing now, but doing it all within the system, which makes it more difficult to send through the end position. Because if I spawn them in here, right, which I do somewhere, like when I spawn them in here, I can send the end location through as a variable. Well, then if this thing uses like a bunch of location events to instance a different emitter within itself a bunch of times, which is a thing that it can do. I don't really have a good way of sending through extra information to those new spawned emitters. So like that doesn't quite work. It would save on a bit of like memory usage if I could do that, because it would just be one world object. But I run into like information management, like data management issues with that. So that's why we need to do it the way that we're doing it right now. Anyway, so we have the amount stuck. That should be amount struck. Slightly different thing, which is an integer. And we just, anytime we do this, we increment that integer. And then we also just check, oh shit, this should have the loop within it as well. We can salvage this. We can salvage this. That does change a couple of things, but we can salvage this. Hold on. There we go. And then the input pin can just become the array instead. And then we check whether or not that is now greater than, let's say, 3. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, and then at the 4th, so that's at the 5th actually. So let's do greater than 2. So that's 0, 1, and 2. So that's 3 forks per thing. So if it's not greater than, we strike the next enemy. But if it is greater than, we return. So that should now force it to have a lot more steps. Unless I fucked something up, which I probably did. Let's see. Well, that did fucking nothing. That's the opposite of more steps. That's less steps. It's no steps. Why? Oh, because I'm not actually providing in the array. No, that makes sense. That does make sense. Magic, yeah, magic makes everything better, except my life, because I have to make it. But hey, programming is kind of like magic for people who aren't nerds, right? Yeah, that feels a little bit more like what I want it to be. I think the delay should be lower. But this feels like it's actually like bouncing around between the different like characters, right? So like that's pretty good. That's pretty much what I want it to be like. I think if I make the delay longer, it actually will feel like it's like one bolt snaking through as well. So let's make that like 0.1 seconds. So that eliminates the whole issue of me wanting to like loop the length to begin with, which is good. Oh, that's a lot of fucking enemies, but it's actually dealing with it quite well, surprisingly. So good with that. So yeah, it is pretty much a hey, just hit everything on the screen kind of move. I think, as you can see, like especially if things are close by, it just annihilates everything, which is really powerful. Um, but it's also kind of satisfying. Like imagine having a sound effect for these things getting hit every time one gets hit. It's when you land one of these, it's gonna be so good. It's also gotta be ludicrously expensive to cast this. Hold on, one of these enemies seems to have like some collision that's blocking my view. Which one is it? Is it the Reaper? Is it the Ghost? Hold on, I just need to spawn on a couple more new ones. It's not the Ghost. It seems to be the Reaper. Okay, let's fix that. Also, let's take a look at whatever the hell that was. Attempted to accessibility system component, pending kill garbage. Oh, that makes sense. It's not that big a deal. Yeah, let's go into the Reaper real quick because I think like basic Reaper, I think it might have something in the mesh collision that's weird. Yeah, it's blocking camera. That should not be blocking camera. I don't know why it is. So yeah, that effectively should also spawn in a sound, I guess. But aside from that, I think we pretty much have this ability down. is likely also one of the most complex that we are going to be doing today. So that's nice. So yeah, let's just also do a spawn sound location. Can reuse the same location, and the sound will be like a lightning. Sure that I had a lightning at some point. A lightning thing. Like thunder. No, that's definitely not it. I have a different lightning spell. Just thunder. And this spawns a sound, I believe. Thought it did. Apparently it doesn't. Sphere overlap, commit ability, line trace, spawn system, delay, apply damage, and ability. Okay. It is a good reminder that we should probably be using the magic strength thing as a multiplier, even for the chain lightning. So let's do that. Chain lightning. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just promote this to a variable and call this like lightning sound, and we'll add that in at some point. Maybe, hopefully, but I forget. Can sounds have rotations? I guess if you have like a directional sound, maybe. So yeah, again, this is garbage collectors not gonna love the fact that we're spawning in so many individual objects into the world, but maybe it'll be fine. Maybe. When we deal damage, we need to do a thing. Where do we apply damage? Apply damage. There we go. Just gonna yoink that node from here because it's annoying to type. I guess what we do is we. That's a good question. I guess both the base and the piercing damage just get multiplied by the magic strength. Seems fair. Seems fair. So that's pretty much that done for now. More or less. Let's add some subtasks. E1 coding, which we just finished. And SFX. And improve VFX, because that's going to be needed. But for now, we have finished up the first version of the coding, so that's good. Let's just work our way up for now, because I see updates Mind Spray, and that's actually fairly easy to do as well. So gameplay abilities we have somewhere down here. Gameplay ability Minds. So yeah, instead of fucking spraying them out of nowhere, which is what we do now, is what we're gonna do. How does this even work? What the hell? Did I just make my own fucking for loop? Oh, I made my own fucking for loop with a delay in it. That's why. Effectively, this is just a for loop. So we spawn these in a for loop now instead, because we're going to be spawning them all simultaneously. That's a for each loop. I'm going to steal a little bit of math from a different function elsewhere that I have for the positions. And then when complete, we can end ability. So we don't need this anymore. We don't need this. Don't even need this anymore. Or this. Or this. We don't need anything. We just need the last index to be like 5. Now, the transform location, that is going to be the thing. Let's do a plus, because the initial transform location will still be the get actor location. Should probably be on the ground below the actor. We can fix that in a moment. Then the Z will be nothing added to it. The X and the Y we're going to need some math for, and I'm going to do that with the ribbon boss, because that has an ability that does things in a circle. And that really should just be a reusable thing anyway. I just wanted to have your asset location, because in here we have circle fires. Spawn circle. This math. Is there any reason for this to not be a blueprint function library? No. So let's make a blueprint function library with spawn actors in circle. Gameplay utils? I don't know. Do we already have one of those? Probably not, right? Spawn actors in circle. I think the reason that I made it into a separate thing here is because I'm calling it like 4 different times. Don't know why I didn't just... I can still call it 4 different times if it's a blueprint function library. Doesn't make a lot of sense necessarily. Okay, so let's put these side by side real quick, because I'm going to need to look back and forth a lot. Inputs, we'll have our numbers to spawn. So number to spawn, which will be an integer, which will go into there and then into there for the step angle. Then the radius, obviously. So the radius, which will be a float, which will go into both of these multiplications. That makes sense. We'll have an origin position. That, once again, makes sense. Which will be this. Oh, can I not do spawn actor from there? Ooh, I cannot. Huh. That's interesting. What is that? Is that because it's specifically a thing that other actors can do, I guess? So I guess we changed this from a blueprint function library into a macro library for actors? Um, spawn actors in circle. The nice thing about this is because it'll be a macro, I can make a little output pin that fires every individual time an actor gets spawned with a reference to that actor, so that I can actually like keep track of those. So that might actually be a nice thing. Also, let's make these a little easier to hook up, because we're going to need to copy paste them again. Now that I say that, let's just do that. Inputs. Amount to spawn. So yeah, this one doesn't have an instigator, but still has an owner, so that's fine. I guess it's because it's not part of the pawn class, but again, it has an owner, so let's put that up top. Owner. Radius for floats. And then the class for spawn, which will be a actor class ref. And that's kind of everything there is to it. Oh, the origin point. It's kind of relevant. So radius will hook up to that and that's. This hooks up to there and there. The origin hooks up to there, and the class spawn hooks up to there. Then the outputs will on spawn will be a exact pin, and then on finish. And I guess macros don't have local variables, which is the downside to them. So it doesn't get me an array of them, I guess. Which is fine. Maybe we can make that. Can we make that a wildcard? I wonder how that works. That's actually interesting to check out. I just realized there's going to be an issue here, I think. Maybe, potentially. Because we're making this as a macro for the actor class, but we're going to be using this on an ability. So we probably still spawn actor in circle. Oh, but that's the wrong one, because that is, yeah. That's the blueprint function library version, which we cannot use because it doesn't allow us to use the other one fucking version. Where the fuck did our stuff go? There we are. Spawn actor Because I assume gameplay ability inherits over view object directly, right? Ability. Let's see. That's the CBP file, so that's the wrong one. I need the header file, please. This one. Okay. Do I not have the header files for that available? Aren't those like open? That would be fucked. Surely. There we go. Gameplay ability.h. Yeah, so what does this inherit off of? Because it's certainly not going to be actor, is it? Or is it? No, it's directly off of view objects. Okay. Can hold on a moment. Inventory. I think I have a metadata class in here that's a basic view object. And again, I can just make a basic view object like literally anywhere to test. There we go. Spawn actor from, yeah, you can't do that. But what you might be able to do, because we have a, okay, I have an ID. I have an ID. I repeat, I have an ID, and it's going to involve me going back again. Just into the blueprints and making it a blueprint function library after all. So that way it will actually be available throughout the entire game, but it'll just take in a like an in actor, an owner actor. We already have an owner actor anyway. So spawn actors in circle. Now let's get back to whatever that macro was that we just had, or at least the something somewhere. Is it closed out? Seems like it closed out. Okay. Actor utils. Okay, there we go. Which won't allow us to do this anymore, but it's a trade-off at this point, and you gotta do something. Before I do anything else, I want to test whether or not my theory is correct. Because if I make this an owner, or if I make the owner an actor reference, then I can use that actor reference to spawn actor. No. I can in fact not do that. Why not? Is that just not a thing you can do within a blueprint functional library? Is this a known thing? Spawn actor and function library. Exactly. Creating a macro library instead. So I guess I can make one that, but I want to just have one. I don't want to make one for abilities and one for actors, because that's annoying. It might be because it's a latent node, but it's not because it doesn't have the icon on it. So that's probably just bullshit. Um, what you can do is create a function inside your player character class and then reference that function through the blueprint. That doesn't help. No, like at all. Because at that point, just make it on your fucking player character. But frankly, the only use for like these macro libraries is to add functions to like base engine classes. Because otherwise, there's no fucking reason not to just put it on the class. But still, we can still use the same ID that I had. I'm just going to Control Z through a little bit. But if Actos can do this, what we can do is we can use the Chain Lightning. Not the Chain Lightning, no, the other ability. That's no longer open, maybe. Yeah, I think that closed down as well. Let's find this, and then we mine. So this is just an actor, right? We have this. We can actually just straight up get rid of this, I think. But for our... Well, we can do some stuff, hold on. So we can just get this actor and we can spawn actors and circle. No, you can't access the fucking what? Why do you make my life so difficult? Why can I not access this macro? Oh, is it because I need to include it in the... No, I don't think it is. Right, I don't like the fucking function library things. What if wild ID? Can I go parent class just object on this? No. What can I? Hold on. I think I can. And if I do that, now any object should be able to access this, which it still needs an actor input. So, and without the actor input, it's not going to work, but it will have like, you can run it on all things, right? Spawn actor circle. It doesn't do, that's fair. But I can say this and put it in there, and I need to redo all this stuff. But that should work. Hopefully. Now, maybe. I put the wrong thing on the side monitor. I need to put this thing on the side monitor. Hold on. Let's juggle some tabs real quick. Okay, let's do this one more time and then it should work. So this will be the inputs. Doesn't need a name. I guess we call this inputs. Sure. Then the most important thing will be the owner, which will be an actor. Which can then spawn actor. No, it cannot. Okay, so I just cannot make this work, essentially. So I guess what we do is we just make a second version that runs on abilities. Because if I do that, then I can spawn actor from class again. Yes, I can. Is there a... Hold on, can I just copy inputs? No, I cannot. That is annoying. Wish you could do that. Anyway, we're learning. So I'll do it all. I guess we just have the same functionality in two places so that we can use it in two different places. That's kind of not great, but it's fine. Spawn actor. And then on actor spawn. The way around. And then complete. And now we just hook up a bunch of shades for the 5th time. But we'll get there. Amount to spawn. We'll have this as a reusable macro because it turns out spawning things in a circle pattern actually happens a decent amount. That's probably misspelled. That's slightly better. So that's... At least I start to know this formula by heart a little bit better now, which is good, because I always have to chat GPT this shit. And then we have the class to spawn. Which will be an actor class reference again. And then this shall be done. Okay, so now we have this. Let's go back into the mines. I don't know if this is the right one, so I'm just gonna spawn actors circle. Spawn actors circle. Yeah, so then for every one of those we cast to BP mine in this case, and we set base damage this way instead of doing it on expose. And that's why we like doing it with the macro, so that we can pick this shit up like this. Fantastic. So yeah, the origin will be get actor location. We can set that up however we want in a moment. And then on complete, we just end the ability. The amount to spawn, let's say that we do 6. and a radius of 500 units. The owner will be third-person character, and the closest spawn will be the BP mines as well. Okay, that should have kind of fixed up this ability a little bit, which mostly the trouble that we had here was nothing to do with the ability itself. It's just I want to be able to more easily spawn things in circles, because that is just nice, right? It's just nice. Trigonometry. Who doesn't love it? Yeah, I guess we can just test this out now. Because we have the... It's still called mine spray. We'll just call it like mines or something. But I do this. It didn't quite work. Couple of reasons for that. Number one is they still think that they should shoot at, which they should not. So let's go fix that. They don't need any velocity anymore, like at all. They just need to exist. Yeah, that's all they need to do. Exist. We'll make a mesh for them as well at some point. But also, it seems like the origin position might have been a little bit messed up. There's a couple of mines on top of each other here. Something isn't quite working. Wonder what it might be. So we have the radius set to 500. The radius is hooked up to... Oh. But not to there. No, but it shouldn't be hooked up to there. Right? Should it? No, but the amount to spawn should be. Because now it's dividing by 0, which means that it's... I don't know that that's actually the issue. Probably is, because that's the only thing that wasn't hooked up. There we go. 500 might be a bit much. Let's maybe lower this to like 250. But aside from all that, this works. So if I spawn a bunch of these fuckers in, they start killing themselves on. So yeah, the mines work. They need to have some stuff to them though. So let's add meshes, add spawning in FX. Fix code, that's the thing we just did. Two abilities, it's not bad so far. Homing lightning should be relatively easy to do because we already have the, what they call the bolt? Shaman bolt. Not quite. Unless... Well, it does it through the animation, so that's fine. I just need to know what class it spawns in and how it works again, because it's been a while since I looked at this. Yeah, it just damages anything that it comes into contact with, doesn't it? And it just gets given in a target, does it? Find spawn location. How does it do that? Target actors. Target. Fantastic. And how does that work? Target, blueprint, read, write. Okay, so when it spawns the initial one, you give it in a target. So this should be exposed on spawn, but that isn't quite how things work in C++ land, so it's not. Oh yeah, so it sets the target based on the enemy's target. But we can just set that based on the closest. So this is going to be super easy to make, I think. Right? Because what we do is we go back to player abilities, gameplay abilities. Make cost ability. Gameplay ability. Trail lightning. There's a lot of lightning related stuff happening today. It's probably nice. There's some themes going on. Yeah, so we check all this. We check this in pretty much everything. So shouldn't we just like make this part of the base class? I don't know. Here we are. Matter of fact, I actually didn't copy over everything. I needed to copy over this too. Okay, so if we can commit the ability, which again, I think maybe I should just overwrite the commit ability. Can I do that? Override commit execute, which I suppose is the final thing that it... Oh no, it doesn't. No. Maybe in C++ I can do that. Maybe in C++, in C++, I should do that. But yeah, we kind of just do this. Just copy this over, throw that in there, and change this to avatar actor. Well, we already have that actually, because we create this as a variable. So that'll be the owner and the instigator, and then the transform location will be right on top of itself. Sure, why not? And then the target will just be the closest enemy. That should be everything there is to it, I think. The only thing is how do I anti-ability? I don't think that anti-ability... Do I anti-ability? In any way, shape, or form? I don't think the shaman actually ends the ability at all. Which is a little sus. That's not great. Probably should look into that. But if it's going to be something that the player can do and potentially spam, definitely needs to cancel the or end the ability at some point. So I guess what we do is... That's a fantastic fucking question. Can I send through like an ability handle? Get gameplay ability from spec handle. I think I can get a handle for this ability from within this ability. To like send through with all of them as well. Huh. I guess what we do is we wait for wait event with the tag ability.end. Oh, that might actually, that does send it through, right? Because of this, no, not there. Yeah, ability.end. It doesn't. I made this fucking node with like this enum branch. I made a whole like short about it as well, I think. So this does have an ability ending thing within it. No, that's fine. Okay, that's cool. So when we get that, we end ability. Now this doesn't do that, so we probably, now that we are aware of this, 1000% should add that into here as well. But I think that's pretty much all there is to it. Well, we need to like set damage, right? So set damage. Does it have a damage variable? Surely it does. Oh no, that's... Oh, this is a little weird. This doesn't directly deal damage, it relies on going back to the gameplay ability to deal damage. I don't know why it would do that. Yeah, let's just change this to apply damage. It's the wrong apply damage. Still the wrong apply damage. I want mine, this one. Probably should have called it something else. I realize that now, yes. Instigator is the damage dealer. The target is whatever we just ran into. Yeah, this probably should take care of that a lot. So I don't think that the ability needs to be involved in that. I think that's a leftover from when I did all of my damage handling directly by normal function calls from within the abilities, instead of having this handy little like interface that I've started using. And when I say started using, I mean I've been using for like 3 or 4 months. Either way, I think we should also test whether or not the shaman thing breaks down now, but I don't think it should. I think that means that we have the trail lightning ability done. So let's make an item to go with it. Item assets, spells, chain lightning to trail lightning. Zappy Zap mofos a lot. So good at coming up with names. So now we have that. Let's see. Zappy Zap mofos a lot. Okay, it damages me. It shouldn't even spawn it in if there's no enemies nearby, so that's something to look into. But it damages me myself, so that's not good. And then I cannot spawn in anymore. Okay, this is weird. I guess this should check whether or not this is not equal to instigator. As well. But it also should not have any reason for it to allow me to do that like more than once, because committability, I don't have a cost setup for this yet. I guess the cooldown needs to not be 0. And then let's set the cost to like 10 for now, and then I think it's gameplay effect mana cost that we use for that. Also, if closed enemy is not valid, oh, that will be why. Okay, that makes sense. All right, spawn a couple of these in. The big zappy zap. Then no nearby enemy. Can't cast it. Cool. I can cast it now. It does work. It still hurts me. And it doesn't hurt them. So that's maybe less than ideal. Maybe. Interesting. Oh, that makes sense. That's just the wrong way around, isn't it? So it can only hurt the instigator, which is, I mean, it's a fun idea for an ability, something that can only hurt the instigating actor, I guess. I've had this idea of like a inverse heal, like drains your life and gives you extra mana, so that you can like maybe make a build where you go super hard into the HP, and you use one of your ability slots to like have that spell in there. And when you like need the HP, you can rely on the HP. But when you don't need the HP, you effectively have, like, if you have both heal and that ability, they wouldn't be one-to-one. Like, converting back and forth would lose you some. But if you have both of those abilities, that's 2 out of your 4 abilities used up in your ability slots. But you would effectively only have to invest in one of those stats, because you could just upgrade like mana all the way or HP all the way, probably HP all the way. Now, when you're out of mana, you can just use some of your HP to get your mana back. So you don't really need to upgrade mana, and you can use everything that you would like, all your experience that you would use for mana to do a little bit of extra experience, but maybe also to do a little bit more strength. That's out. It probably still wouldn't be necessarily effective because of like the experience scaling. The way that would work, right? Because at some point, instead of upgrading your mana for like 100 experience, you would be upgrading your HP for like 2000 experience instead. And then there would also be like an 80% return on that spell. So it probably would be more efficient to just use mana. So I'm not entirely sure that I want to actually do that, because I don't know how I would implement it in a way that would be like enticing to use to begin with. I'm not afraid of it being overpowered. I'm just like, why would you most of the time, right? Okay, so the issue is that it does count as me dealing damage, so it does give me MP back as well. I think that maybe I should have something on the applied damage thing. About restoring MP. Then again, what I could just do is I could just When it applies damage, not giving an instigator, I guess, because it doesn't really matter. So the damage dealer, we can just give no instigator, and then it won't do that anymore. I hope. Yeah, so like I can do all this, and I'm going to run out of MP. It still is a very powerful spell, because if you do it when you're close to something, it's effectively just like hitting them with like fucking 10 lightning strikes in a row. So knockback origin, what? I don't. Oh, that makes sense. I guess we can just pass through the instigator as. That's probably a good thing anyway, right? Just as self, so that it still does knockback. But it doesn't refill my MP. That's the main thing that I'm like a little worried about, is that it shouldn't refill my MP if it costs MP to cast. Because at that point it's just self-sufficient. Don't necessarily want that to be a thing, so yeah, you don't get knockback at all to begin with. Yeah, okay, so that seems to do the trick. Okay, that means that our lightning trail is effectively done as well. We can maybe we can like do that sacrifice ability, because that'll be nice and quick and easy to do, and but I think I need to think about a little bit more how that's going to work. Because is that going to be a thing where it just like takes 50% of your current HP or 10% of your current HP, or is it going to take a set amount of your HP? Can you accidentally kill yourself with it? Probably a good idea if you couldn't. Is it a ability where you like press and hold? Because if it is, I can see a lot of issues coming up with that, with the way that my input works at the moment. So probably not that. So it's probably going to be like a percentage-based thing. Where it takes like 1/3 of your current HP and turns it into that amount, like times 0.8 in MP. Or something like that. I think it would be a neat thing to have, but I'm just going to add it to the HP stack to MB. Just going to add it to the list, and we'll see how we actually end up dealing with that, because I'm not entirely sure. I think for now I'm going to head out of here. We made a couple of nice little spells. Maybe on Thursday we'll be doing some more spells. Maybe we will be actually doing level design, like I promised. We probably will. We need to get that stuff rolling at some point anyway. Yeah, it's been a good one. We had a lot of fun with Unreal, doing Unreal stuff and not allowing me to call Spawn Actor from like 50 different locations. I also never connected up this to that, but I don't think we're using it anymore. So it's actually kind of fun. That was off screen anyway. So yeah, I'll see you on Thursday.